Gerardo Ribeiro, thank you for joining us and welcome to the 5th Schoenfeld International String Competition. So you are the head of the violin jury here, so tell us a little bit about what that entails.
Well, basically making sure things run well and overseeing the procedure, that the procedure is going well. And so far it has been a wonderful experience, and we have been doing things just very well and in a very pleasant way.
Yeah. So with this competition, we had a bit of a delay due to the pandemic. So how did your role change from when it was originally scheduled in 2020 to now 2023? Talk a little bit about the changes that had to take place.
Well, the pandemic was a period of adjustment for everyone. In the musical world and the teaching world and preparation for events, it was a long way. You know, it was very long, unfortunately, the pandemic. And people got used to different habits of doing things. I feel, in a way, I feel bad in a way for all these young people, contestants. They really lost about 2 to 3 years of their lives getting ready for competitions and overall development. So I can see in this competition that the average age from the contestants is a bit older than the usual. And that's due to this delay, let's put it this way, for things to to come to a normal phase. So lessons were given online. There was not that personal contact with the students, and that in a way made things quite different. The ways of connecting, like over Zoom or Skype or FaceTime, especially Zoom, now it's wonderful, but during the pandemic it was terrible. It was a terrible experience. So then I think the folks at Zoom figured out that musicians were using, so they really worked hard on it, and now it's actually fine, you know, and because of the pandemic, things have changed a lot. I am teaching students all over the world, you know, at all times of the day and almost night, and actually it's working somewhat, but it's not the same thing as having lessons in person to person. The fact that you cannot touch the bow arm and just show how to do it, because it's one thing to say it and another way to show it and help, makes a big difference, you know. So I'm very happy that things are getting back to normal, but it's never going to be the same as it was before. In a way, in some ways, it's not so negative. It's actually very positive that we can have a combination now, much more so, of lessons online, and at the same, and hopefully and eventually getting the student to also come for even short periods of time in person. At first, it was a big shock, you know, finally to meet the students live, because with the first thing that we would notice, oh my goodness, the sound is so different than I would expect, and it took weeks to work on the sound. Usually, it was too small and not too much the same, which of course was the result of doing it online.
So now we're here in Harbin, and for the 5th competition of the Schoenfeld competition. So tell us about your history with this competition and what you believe to be the importance of this competition on the international map.
I am very favorably surprised with the level of playing at this competition, and in fact, from what I understand from the organizers of the 5th Schoenfeld competition, some of the contestants that were supposed to come 3 years ago and couldn't because of the pandemic actually are not coming now, because they have won very important competitions, and so they are doing very well, which is wonderful. But we are back to normal, and maybe it's not the same thing as I mentioned before, like before the the pandemic. But I think, in a way, as I just mentioned before, things are working very well. There is this combination of connecting with students through a much better online connections now, and then, as I mentioned, if it's a combination of online and in person, actually it works much better. So I think things are going to normalize, and they all go back to the way it was before.
So how many times have you been to Harbin?
This is my first time.
Your first time?
Yeah.
So I know you haven't had much chance to sightsee yet.
Not yet.
I think
Not yet.
that's coming up. But talk a little bit about your impressions of the conservatory, of the concert hall, of some of the facilities that you've seen.
It is just an amazing thing. I am so impressed with what we see here. It's the vastness of the buildings, and it's just the facilities are just wonderful. And in fact, I have never seen anything like it, not in the big centers or anywhere. So I'm very surprised and very favorably surprised.
So you teach at Northwestern University outside Chicago. You're professor of violin there. So I would imagine at a school like that, many of the students go into competitions. Talk a little bit about your views on why competitions are important for young violinists and how they might best prepare for them and a competition like this one.
I think the preparation for a major competition is a wonderful tool for development. It brings a lot of discipline, whether a contestant wants it or not, to a musician, and I think ultimately is what makes the serious student really practice in a very disciplined way, and therefore developing, his or her playing for their professional lives. I think competitions are very important. I don't believe on going to every single competition because, in a way, it atrophies a little bit the repertoire of many students. There is the student and teacher that believes in basically just competitions, and I don't think that is the right way to go. It's do just some and evolve and move on with different repertoire to maybe a competition that is not so close to the one that they just enter, so that they have the opportunity to study, broaden their repertoire. And I think that in moderation, it's the right thing to do. Yeah, and essential for the career. Yeah.
Great. Well, Gerardo Ribeiro, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.